Welcome back to Melissa, Arsenal Analyst. I am Melissa, and tonight we are not talking about just a football match. Tonight we are talking about a moment that could define an entire era. Arsenal, Emirates Stadium, Champions League quarter-final second leg, 1-0 up on aggregate, Sporting CP standing in the way of a place in the last four, and beyond that, Atletico Madrid waiting. A potential Champions League final waiting, history waiting. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button right now, because this channel is where we break down every detail, every decision and every implication. No noise, just analysis. Let us get straight into it. The situation is this. Arsenal enter tonight's second leg holding a slender 1-0 advantage from the first leg in Lisbon. One goal. That is the margin between a Champions League semi-final and an early exit. And make no mistake, that margin feels thin right now. Not because Sporting CP are some unstoppable force, but because of everything happening inside the Arsenal camp at this precise moment. The reality for the club is that confidence is shaken. A 2-1 home defeat to Bournemouth last weekend exposed vulnerabilities that the fan base and the media simply cannot ignore. Manchester City responded with a 3-0 destruction of Chelsea, cutting Arsenal's lead at the top of the Premier League to just 6 points. And now, without the luxury of rest or recovery, Arsenal must produce a big European performance. This is not comfortable. This is not routine. This is Arsenal being tested at every level simultaneously. The evidence suggests that how Arsenal respond tonight will tell us everything about who this squad really is. And I want to break it all down for you, piece by piece, player by player, and decision by decision. Stay with me. Let me make the stakes crystal clear. If Arsenal progress tonight, they face Atletico Madrid in the Champions League semi-final. That tie is already confirmed and waiting. It is a massive occasion. It is the kind of European night that Arsenal supporters have dreamed about for decades. But if Arsenal fail to hold this lead, or if they suffer a damaging loss, the consequences stretch far beyond just the Champions League. The mental and physical toll of an early exit at this stage, combined with a Premier League title race that still has everything to play for, could be genuinely destabilising. There is also a massive Premier League game coming next week at the Etihad Stadium against Manchester City. Arsenal cannot afford to arrive at that fixture broken in confidence. Tonight, they need a result that fuels belief, not one that destroys it. If you want this level of deep analysis on every Arsenal story that matters, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on your notifications. This channel is here every time Arsenal make headlines. The semi-final draw is already set. It is now confirmed. Should Arsenal progress past Sporting CP, their Champions League semi-final opponents will be Atletico Madrid. This was drawn and announced ahead of the second leg. Now, here is how I see this. The timing of this announcement is fascinating. Arsenal now know exactly what is at stake before a ball is kicked tonight. This is not just about surviving Sporting. This is about earning the right to face one of European football's most brutal defensive sides. Atletico Madrid under Diego Simeone are one of the most organised and difficult opponents any team can face in a knockout environment. Arsenal being aware of this opponent in advance means every player on that pitch tonight understands the destination of the journey they are fighting for. It is match day, and the words matter. The messaging around this fixture was deliberate. The phrase being used is that this is the first game of a season-defining week. Block out the noise, winners win. Let me break this down for you. That messaging is not accidental. When an organisation speaks publicly using that kind of language, it tells you something about the internal atmosphere. There is clearly noise to block out, there is clearly pressure to manage, and the instruction to show what it takes to be winners is a direct acknowledgement that recent performances have raised questions about exactly that. Winners win. But Arsenal have to prove that starting tonight, the honest assessment from the press, a respected journalist covering Arsenal put it plainly ahead of this game, confidence is low, energy is sapped, but the quality is there, and tonight is about showing how much they want it. I think this is one of the most honest and accurate summaries of where Arsenal are right now. Confidence and energy are psychological factors. They can drain away quickly when results do not go your way, but quality does not disappear overnight. The players Arsenal have, even with injuries considered, are talented enough to deliver. The question is purely mental. Do they believe in themselves enough to perform when the pressure is at its absolute highest? That is the test tonight. Thierry Henry says wait. Thierry Henry, when asked if he preferred Arsenal to face Atletico Madrid in the semi-final, gave a measured and intelligent response. He said Arsenal need to beat Sporting first and that Atletico can celebrate while Arsenal are not there yet. Let me give you my honest take on this. Henry's response is exactly right, and it reflects the mindset that Arsenal themselves need to carry into tonight. Too many conversations around this tie have drifted into discussions about what happens next. But Sporting CP have not been eliminated yet. They are a dangerous, well-organised Portuguese side with a strong home record in Europe. 1-0 is not safe. Henry understands that. Arsenal's players need to understand that too. Rafinha adds fuel to the fire. Barcelona's Rafinha, after Atletico Madrid's progression, told their supporters that they are going to be knocked out of the Champions League in the next round by Arsenal. Now, here is what this really means. This kind of external provocation can go one of two ways. It can feel flattering and motivating for Arsenal, or it can add unnecessary pressure to a situation that already carries enough weight. Rafinha is not an Arsenal player. His comments, while entertaining, mean nothing on the pitch. What matters is that Arsenal take care of their own business tonight without being distracted by the noise surrounding potential semi-final opponents. Eze speaks on focus and self-belief. Oberechi, Eze gave a composed and intelligent pre-match interview ahead of the Sporting CP game. His message was clear. Arsenal have watched Sporting from their last performance, but the focus remains on how Arsenal play, not on what Sporting might do differently. He said that if Arsenal centre themselves on their own game, they trust they have enough quality to put in the best performance possible and turn the game in their favour. This is exactly the mentality an analyst wants to hear from a player going into a high-pressure knockout fixture. Eze is not overcomplicating it. He is not looking at the opposition with fear. He is saying, we trust ourselves and we focus on us. That is winning mentality. That is the kind of internal belief that delivers on the big stage. Eze connects the current squad to the 2006 legacy. Eze also reflected on Arsenal reaching the Champions League final in 2006, describing that squad as having a certain level of confidence, not arrogance, but belief. And he connected that to this current group. He said, walking onto a pitch and believing you are that player and part of that team is what football is about. And he said this squad has something special too. Here is the part most people are missing. The 2006 Arsenal run to the Champions League final was one of the most remarkable moments in this club's history. For a current player to draw that parallel and apply it to this squad shows that the belief inside the dressing room runs deeper than recent results might suggest. That is important. External noise can be dismissed, but internal belief, if it is genuine, carries a team through moments of adversity. Arteta identifies 3 areas for improvement. Manager Mikel Arteta addressed the criticism that Arsenal have been overcautious in attack recently. He acknowledged it directly, saying there are moments where Arsenal need to speed up the game and be more efficient in the next action. He confirmed he has identified 3 specific areas to improve, particularly when Arsenal play at home. He said these areas are very well identified and he hopes to see them addressed on the pitch. He then refused to publicly reveal what the 3 areas are. This is brilliant management communication. Arteta is showing self-awareness. He is acknowledging the problem publicly without undermining his players. And by refusing to reveal the 3 areas, he keeps his tactical plan private, while sending a clear message to the squad that he knows exactly what needs fixing. This is the behaviour of a manager who is in control, even in difficult moments. The question is whether the players execute the solutions tonight. Arteta learns a lesson from the Bournemouth fallout. After Arsenal's 2-1 defeat to Bournemouth, Arteta made a comment about the pitch being dry. That comment became a talking point. In his next press conference, Arteta addressed it with humour and self-awareness, saying he learnt some lessons and specifically that after losing a match, you should not talk about anything else because it comes back to haunt you. Here is what you really need to understand about this moment. In the heat of a disappointing defeat, managers sometimes reach for external factors. The pitch condition comment was a mistake in terms of optics. But the fact that Arteta acknowledged it, reflected on it and moved forward without defensiveness shows leadership maturity. He is not getting dragged into side narratives. He is refocusing on what matters. Arteta defends Zubimendi. Arteta was asked specifically about Martin Zubimendi's lack of rotation and his dip in form. Arteta's response was one of the most thoughtful of his recent press conference appearances. He said that maintaining an excellent level over so many games is almost impossible. He added that he has not seen a single player in the Premier League this season who has been able to sustain that standard across the full campaign. When asked whether Zubimendi has the mentality to get through this difficult moment, Arteta was emphatic. He said yes, because Zubimendi is consistent, intelligent and demands more from himself than anyone else. This is a manager protecting his player in a public forum. Zubimendi is clearly going through a difficult patch of form, but Arteta is framing it not as failure, but as the natural consequence of playing high-volume football at the highest level. That framing matters. It gives Zubimendi public backing while also being honest about the challenges. The injury crisis is very real. Arteta addressed the question of whether Arsenal are at the stage of the season where players need to play through pain. His response was measured but honest. He confirmed that Arsenal have been missing 4 or 5 starters for weeks and that this has had a significant impact. He said availability is crucial in this period and they need those players back. The evidence suggests this injury situation is one of the most significant factors shaping Arsenal's current form. When you lose 4 or 5 first-choice starters over an extended period at the business end of a season, the consequences are inevitable. Performance levels drop, confidence in the system drops, and the team becomes predictable because the variation that those missing players provide simply is not there. Eze on the Odegaard absence. When asked about playing without Martin Odegaard alongside him, Eze gave an honest and thoughtful answer. He said that for any team there are players with specific roles, and when those players are not there, the team loses something. Let me put this in plain terms for you. Odegaard is irreplaceable in terms of what he provides for Arsenal. His creativity, his decision-making, his ability to unlock defences in tight moments, these are qualities that cannot simply be replicated by a different player. Eze is talented, but even Eze himself is acknowledging the gap. That is honesty, and it is accurate. Thierry Henry speaks on the bigger picture. Henry, appearing on CBS Sports, went further in his assessment of the week ahead. He emphasised that it is very important for Arsenal to win against Sporting and make sure they can prepare for the game everyone is waiting for. The broadcast graphic confirmed Arsenal lead Sporting 1-0 ahead of the second leg. Henry is right to frame this as a 2-game week of enormous significance. The Sporting tie and the Manchester City clash in the league are linked. Win the first, build belief, carry that into the Etihad, lose the first, arrive at Manchester City's ground with everything unravelling. The sequence matters. Eze on Gyökeres, a killer. Eze spoke extensively about Victor Gyökeres ahead of the match. His words were full of admiration. He called Gyökeres a very good guy and a special character. He said Gyökeres gives everything on the pitch, leaves it all out there, and that watching him work makes you want to work harder too. And then Eze delivered the most important line. He said Gyökeres is a killer when it comes to finishing. If he has a chance, he is going to take it. He said the team trusts Gyökeres massively. This is significant. Eze is not just praising a teammate, he is outlining the Arsenal have up front. Victor Gyökeres is a striker whose goal-scoring record at this level demands respect. The squad clearly believe in him as a match winner, and that collective trust in a striker is a powerful thing in knockout football. Defending Arteta against the critics, a detailed and thoughtful piece of commentary made a compelling case for Arteta's management of Arsenal. 2 specific arguments were made. First, the Premier League is constantly celebrated as the most competitive league in the world. So consistently challenging for the title in that environment should be recognised as a serious achievement, not dismissed as failure. Second, failure in elite sport is not losing. Failure is accepting the ceiling. Failure is going through the motions and stopping trying. And Arteta has never done that. Every setback has become fuel for the next attempt. The comparison to Diego Simeone at Atletico Madrid was powerful. Simeone has been there for over a decade, 2 league titles, 2 Champions League finals, and still no European Cup. Nobody calls that failure. They call it one of the great managerial tenures in modern football. The argument was made that given 14 years like Simeone has had, Arteta would win more leagues than him. That is a bold but supported claim, and it speaks to how unfairly the narrative around Arteta has tilted in recent weeks. Here is my take on what is really going on. The criticism of Arteta is largely driven by impatience and the binary nature of social media. Win equals hero, lose equals fraud. There is no room for the nuance of a project being built, refined and pushed to new limits each season. Arteta is not failing. He is fighting for something unprecedented in 104 years of this club's history. That deserves respect, not reflexive condemnation after one bad weekend. Arteta speaks honestly on the injury reality. Arteta gave perhaps his most candid assessment of the injury crisis in this press conference moment. He said the situation is very far from ideal. He acknowledged that at this stage of the season, you need your best players in their best moments, and that is simply not the case right now. But he did not stop at the problem. He pivoted to the spirit of the team. He said Arsenal have been through so much during this season and have overcome many difficult situations. That is the spirit of the team, and he finished with a statement of determination. He said Arsenal have many other tools to achieve what they want, and they are going to give it a go. That is the voice of a manager who has not given up, who is not making excuses beyond the factual reality, and who is focusing his group on what they can still control. Martinelli's Champions League numbers are outstanding. The statistical picture for Gabriel Martinelli in this season's Champions League is remarkable. He has been directly involved in a goal every 63 minutes, 6 goals and 2 assists in 507 minutes played. That is the best involvement rate by any Arsenal player with 500 or more minutes played in a single Champions League edition. Here is how I see this. Martinelli's Champions League form this season has been his most consistent and impactful contribution in the biggest competition. While his Premier League form has fluctuated, in Europe he has been a genuine difference maker. On a night like tonight, when Arsenal needs someone to step up, Martinelli's European record gives real reason for confidence. Arteta's most powerful quote of the week. And then we arrive at the quote that captures everything about this moment. Mikel Arteta said, and I want you to hear these words clearly, "We are trying to do something which has not been done in the history of this club in 104 years. For other clubs, it is the daily meal. For us, no." Stop and absorb that for a moment. Arsenal Football Club was founded in 1886. 104 years of top-flight football, glory, legends, iconic teams, and never a Champions League, never the biggest prize in European club football. Arteta is not simply managing a football team through a difficult week. He is managing a club through a historic pursuit, something that has never been achieved before in the club's entire existence. When he says for other clubs it is the daily meal, he is right. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Barcelona, these clubs have been to this point many times. They know the route, they know the feeling. For Arsenal, every step deeper into this tournament is genuinely uncharted territory. That context changes everything about how we should analyse this period. The injuries, the dip in Premier League form, the criticism from pundits and fans, all of it needs to be understood against the backdrop of a club reaching into territory it has never reached before. The full picture before kick-off. Now, let me bring together everything the pre-match picture tells us, drawing on what we know heading into tonight. Arsenal hold a 1-0 aggregate lead. Kai Havertz scored the only goal in Lisbon. David Raya made a crucial early save from Maxi Araujo that could have completely changed the narrative of the tie. Those two moments, one at each end of the pitch, defined the first leg. Without Raya's intervention, Arsenal might be chasing the game tonight instead of protecting a lead. The injury situation heading into the second leg is genuinely serious. Declan Rice was not spotted in training. Bukayo Saka, Jurrien Timber, Martin Odegaard and Ricardo Calafiori were also absent. Mikel Merino remains out with a foot injury. That is potentially 5 starters who do not begin the match. This is a heavily depleted Arsenal side walking into a knockout European tie. However, there are positive signs too. Eberechi Eze has recovered from his calf problem and is available. Piero Hincapié should start at left-back, despite Miles Lewis-Skelly performing competently against Bournemouth. Victor Gyökeres, whose goals have been crucial throughout this campaign, leads the line. On the Sporting CP side, they are not without their own concerns. Starting right-back Ivan Fresneda, a player once linked with Arsenal, picked up an injury at the weekend and is a doubt. Midfielder João Simões missed the weekend game with a knock. However, Sporting welcome back captain Morten Hjulmand from suspension, which is a significant boost to their midfield, and young talent Giovanni Quenda returns after 4 months out injured. Sporting's away record in the Champions League this season is poor. 1 win from 8 away games. Their sole away victory in the competition came against Athletic Club, a side that did not even advance from the league phase. Arsenal, meanwhile, have lost just one of their previous 23 European home games. The statistical environment heavily favours Arsenal to advance. The head-to-head record adds further comfort. Arsenal have now extended their unbeaten run against Sporting to 8 games. Sporting have not won away to an English club since March 2005. Over 2 decades without a victory on English soil in European competition, that is a significant psychological factor. The predicted lineup suggests Arteta will set up in a 4-2-3-1 formation. David Raya in goal, Ben White, William Saliba, Gabriel and Piero Hincapié across the back 4. Christian Norgard and Martin Zubimendi as the double pivot, then Daumann, Eze and Martinelli in the attacking midfield positions, Victor Gyökeres leading the line as the number 9. This is a lineup built to control without being reckless. The double pivot offers security. Eze provides the creative link between midfield and attack. Martinelli provides pace and directness on the left, and Gyökeres offers the cutting edge. For Sporting, Rui Borges chose not to rotate heavily between legs, which suggests confidence but also potential fatigue. Their predicted lineup is a 4-2-3-1 of their own. Antonio Silva in goal, Vagianidis, Diomande, Inacio and Araujo across the back. Hjulmand partnering either Morita or Braganca in midfield, Catamo, Trincao and Pote in the attacking positions, Pedro Suarez as the lone striker. Trincão is the most dangerous, creative player in this Sporting side. Controlling him will be a key tactical challenge for Arsenal's defensive shape. And Schürrle's return from suspension adds real physicality and leadership to Sporting's engine room. The match kicks off at 8 o'clock in the evening British summer time or 3 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time. The referee is Francois Letizier from France. VAR will be operated by Bastian Dankert from Germany. Let me bring this all together for you. The situation heading into tonight is not comfortable, but it is manageable. Arsenal have a one-goal advantage, a strong European home record and a statistical history against Sporting CP that heavily favours progression. Despite the injuries, the players available are talented enough to hold a 1-0 lead and add to it. The more important question is not whether Arsenal will progress tonight. The more important question is how. How they perform matters as much as the result, because this squad needs belief. They need to feel powerful again. They need to walk off that pitch tonight feeling like a team ready to challenge Atletico Madrid in a semi-final and Manchester City in the Premier League. Arteta has identified the problems. He has 3 areas of improvement mapped out. He has spoken honestly about the injury crisis while refusing to use it as an excuse. He has publicly backed his players. He has reminded everyone of the scale of what this club is attempting to achieve. In 104 years, it has never been done, not once. And Martinelli, with a Champions League involvement every 63 minutes this season, Arsenal's Brazilian winger is producing at his best precisely when the competition matters most. That is the kind of player you need in knockout football. The stakes are enormous. The context is unique and the moment is now. This is Arsenal. This is the Champions League. And this is a club chasing history. I am Melissa. Thank you so much for watching. Melissa, Arsenal analyst. If this kind of deep, detailed, honest analysis is what you come here for, please subscribe right now. Hit the like button if you found this useful and drop a comment below telling me your prediction for tonight. Do Arsenal progress and do they do it in style? I will see you after the final whistle.